My name is Jack Seidler, and you are watching that Hella Dank podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I hope you enjoy. I was just like, oh god damn it! Like I need to put this fucking phone in my
Are we
pocket.
gonna get in trouble for vaping?
No,
on YouTube?
vaping's fine. Yeah, vapes, joints or whatever is okay because it's not like as suggestive as I said.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's like if you have like a big bong or a huge
Just a
steamroller,
2-foot
yeah,
fucking bong.
they're not
Yeah.
gonna like that as much. Yeah. So yeah, we're rolling.
Cool.
And so one thing I was thinking, I thought of some questions also, like for you. Um, oh, actually, before I get to that point, why don't you just describe what you do a little bit? We'll just kind of break it down there.
Um, so I'm a general contractor, so I can do, anywhere from a kitchen to a bathroom, full interior. We do reside, full exterior resides, dry rot. Um, I try to cover all bases. I've got subcontractors that I can call in for plumbing and electrical and that.
And it's your company, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
your.
I branched off on my own about 3 years ago, and I just dove in head first, dude. It was like right, kind of mid COVID, uh, maybe the tail end of COVID, and it just like I said, dove in head first.
Yeah, that's a bold move, especially like with construction, because I see all these other companies around here, just how long some of them have been around, and how many there is, and so like I would imagine it comes down to like when you're starting that, it's like how you maybe not like how you bid a job, but like the competition has to come down to that, right? Or what would you say about that? Like,
A lot of people get multiple bids, which I think is smart, right?
yeah,
But it makes it hard for guys like me because I'm new, or
yeah,
and in the beginning, like I said, head first. So I never did any, like, bid. I never submitted bids or anything to people.
I
Like,
couldn't imagine how
you
hard
know,
that'd be, dude.
like
Yeah,
I've done side work my whole life, right? Like, little fixes here and there, flooring just in the bathroom, and just change the toilet, stuff like that. I've always done stuff like that all through high school and that.
yeah.
So I kind of knew a little bit about like customer interaction and stuff, but as far as like, you know,
The
as far as like time, not necessarily the time, but like how much, right?
yeah,
Like what is a reasonable price?
exactly.
And so I
Yeah.
just did it with like, here's how much I need to make off of, per month. Here's what I need to make. Here's what I would like to make, and here's what I should make.
Yeah.
And some months we exceeded, some months we were under, some months were, it's been all over the board. But I feel like overall I've been pretty blessed.
Yeah,
As far as
yeah.
going in head first, like
Yeah.
nobody knew my name, nobody,
Yeah, well, just judging like you're still in it, looking at your vehicle outside, you're making it happen. And so like Par, is that you? That's your.
No, Par Lumber is one of my uh, spots for lumber.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Like a supplier or
Yeah.
whatever.
Distributor.
But that always intimidated me because I thought about starting like my own welding shop. I still think about it, but even when my friends ask me about like how much would this cost, or like anything from an exhaust thing. Oh fuck! Hold on, I need to turn this AC off really fast. It's gonna pick up on the microphones. But when I think about, or rather, when they ask me whatever the job may be, I'm like, man, I don't want to charge too much to seem like I'm ripping them off, but I also don't want to short myself. And
Right.
and you can do all the Google searches you want, but it's just like you'll kind of get a baseline
Right.
for it, but you still like I was always or anxious about whatever I wanted to charge. And so I can't imagine once you go into a legit like construction industry like that, like that's got to be a huge anxiety cloud over your
Well,
head.
in the beginning, it was hard when they don't return. Like you submit the bid and then you never hear from them.
Oh yeah.
In the beginning, it was hard because it was like, I'd submit 10 bids and get like 2, maybe 1,
Yeah.
2. So it was kind of tough at first. Like
Yeah.
I'd get all these no's, get all these no's, get all these no's. Uh, I just never stopped grinding though.
Yeah, I heard once where it's like you go through so many no's to get to your yes.
Yes.
And as you keep
And
plowing
when you
through
finally get that yes and you get the job done and they're happy and it just makes all of it worth it
yeah.
every single time.
Yeah, and not going off topic, I guess, but I saw a Snapchat you sent earlier about you working on like some dry rot kind of
Yeah,
work. Was
yeah.
that from a job or
Yeah,
whatever?
that's where I was at today.
That's hardcore, man. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't figure that out, and so like, is it just you, or how many people you have?
So it's just me.
Okay.
I'm in the field. I do. Excuse me.
No
I do
worries.
the bidding. I'm there from the very beginning of the job to the very end of the job. The customer sees me because
Yeah.
I'm there from the moment that I meet them to shaking their hand, looking over the work, going home, writing, getting everything together, submitting the bid, waiting. Then they call. Then I meet. I'm there every step of the way.
Yeah.
Which makes it really cool on bigger jobs because, you get midway and it's like, man, we're almost there.
Yeah.
It's starting to come together, but you've been there, and a day in and day out, and day in and day out, and it's like you just have to sit back and look at the progress you've made and know that the end is near.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. It is easy to get lost in the grind, like just thinking that's all you have to do is grind, 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 grind.
Yeah.
And for me, like I've got kids, a lot of them. I've got
Yeah.
4 kids, and so I'm not a good employee because I have so many kids. It's like,
yeah.
and I had them so young, and so it was like I was at work, and I had like wives going into labor, and like having pregnancy.
You had a lot on your plate,
and so it just made sense
yeah.
to start my own thing, and like to know that I have made it on my own for 3.5 years. Of course, I've had help on the way, right?
Yeah.
But for the most part, dude, I've survived 3.5 years self-employed.
Yeah, and you're still rocking it.
And I'm still rocking. It's hard. There's things going on, and life happens, and things change, and it's hard sometimes, dude. Like being my own boss, I could just not go to work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can just call it.
Like you always got to remember, like, dude, it's on you, buddy.
Yeah. You have to show up.
You have to suit up and show up.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for this. Like this has been a long time coming.
Yeah, no.
I remember sitting in here just bullshitting with our microphones on just for practice,
just
just
gigs,
to figure it out.
Yeah,
it's cool to be here, dude.
No, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you. I meant to
Cheers,
thank you in the beginning. Yeah, cheers, dude. Seriously, and yeah, you like I said, you were one of the most enthusiastic people I like out of a lot of my friends about seeing us get going. And when I mentioned in my first podcast is I wanted to interview people from all walks and steps of life, and I started my first 2 episodes with people in the cannabis industry. Myself included, I guess, in the first one. And so I wanted to be able to branch off in that. And so I feel like having you on, like, as one of the first people to show that it was important to me because of your level of enthusiasm, but also, like, just being your friend, what I've seen you go through and what you've done. Like, yeah, you and I might not talk every day, but I still see what you're doing.
Yeah.
On our group chat, your stories, you're a hustler, man. You're much more of a hustler than I am. Like that takes a lot of courage to be able to do what you're doing, especially with your kids, whatever else you have going on in your life, and also learning how to bid a job. Like that in my mind, it's hard, just man. Like
it's always
oh
hard.
my god.
I'm still sometimes I'm like, man, am I too high? Am I too low? Like I don't know.
Yeah, but you'll find your you'll find your ground at some point.
Well, and they say that it's hard to make it to 5 years, and I'm over halfway there, and I hope that I make it to 5 years.
I think you will, dude.
I really do. Like, I enjoy being my own boss.
Yeah.
Like I can sometimes I don't get to choose because there's times where it gets tight and I'm just bidding all the shit work too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But eventually I would love to get to a place where, we could do shit like this all the time. and I still have my business going, and I've got people working and making their own money, and you know.
Yeah, and be able to like you don't have to be there all the time. You can just make the occasional phone
Yeah.
call, or like you wouldn't want like would you consider selling your business at a certain point, or would you want to hold on to
I
it? Like
mean, honestly,
if it got to that
if
level.
my kids don't want it, you know, if my kids don't want to go into this industry, um, I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd sell it or just close it down and just, you know.
Well, I think if you're making money, it just I mean, I don't know shit about the construction business, but like just as your friend and like also like talking with Gavin the other day, he talked about not wanting to sell out and wanting to do it for the love of it, and also like it's something you get the it's like a legacy you get to hold on to, and I think you could. Yeah, I think you have a strong chance at making it happen, especially like around here. There's always work around
Oh,
here.
there's always work
And
there,
I
man.
think if you held on to it, whether your kids want it or not, you know, you held on to it later in your life, like that's gonna be you'll always be making money off of
Yeah,
it, and then
but I also like I want to work too, man. Like I
yeah,
don't like just sitting. It's nice sometimes to just relax, right?
yeah,
But you know, I went to Boston this summer. I've been to Bend this summer, camped. Like I did a lot of playing this summer, and I'm kind of like thinking just work, like
yeah,
work. You know, it was nice to unplug a little bit and enjoy
yeah,
life for a minute and take a breather. Like that was nice. But now I'm like, you know, we're going into fall. The weather's changing. It's getting colder, and like, I just want to stay busy, man.
yeah, and
You know.
I can totally get that. Like I went to New York
Mm-hmm.
in August, and I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. And you know, I'm not self-employed, but still it was like when I was there for 10 days, and like after 7 days I was like I'm ready to go back
Mm-hmm.
home, not because like I was homesick, but it was just like I I think it's just because I'm so conditioned to not having that much freedom or whatever, which sounds
Well,
really bad.
we're programmed, bro, to work this schedule and like work for the man and pay our taxes and just work,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But it's like it's really hard to just go for 10 days, right?
yeah.
Because we're so used to that. But I think
It gives you a sense of anxiety, kind
right,
of.
but
Yeah,
but when you come home and you reflect, at least for me, it was like I feel like we almost kind of take life for granted sometimes. You
yeah,
know, like we get lost in the hustle, right?
yeah,
And I think
yeah.
it's important to do stuff like that.
Yeah, I can agree to that. Like before I went to the New York trip, it was like I was feeling really like not burnt out, but I was like in that cycle, and I had to like work a lot of overtime and stuff just so I had enough money to afford it. And it was like months leading up to it. Like before that trip, I didn't really do much. I didn't do any camping. I didn't go out like doing any of that shit. You want to mute that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I just flipped that button or whatever. Yeah, but I had right the few weeks leading up to when I left, it was like, oh my god, I need to get the fuck out of here,
yeah,
man. Like,
yeah,
I need to like let break free a little bit and break
yeah,
the monotony, because the monotony was from New Year's until August. You know, I
yeah,
hardly did shit,
yeah.
and so it's just like, oh my god, like I'm losing like my mind. And then yeah, I went to the trip and finally like I decompressed. I got all that out after 7 days. But then after that, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go back and really hustle and really get the grind on to really like move on to the next step, which is for me paying off credit card debt and start. You know, I got this new car, like start paying that off, and also investing into the studio, get like
Mm-hmm.
better cameras and shit. And so it ignited a different sense of motivation that I would not have even thought of before that trip. And so, like you said, you got to have that break. But I like structure. I like a schedule. I like knowing what I got to do, and so work kind of sets that up
Mm-hmm.
for all of us, you
Right,
know. And
right.
so I know some people that don't like it, but then there's people like you and me that like kind of need that
Yeah,
to make
yeah. I
it.
definitely need a schedule, man. Like
Yeah, I couldn't just. I know
I'll
people
forget.
that'll just sit around all fucking day, and which is like, you know, I'm not talking shit. Like, do you? But it's like, you know, you need to like have goals and ambitions and do something. I just don't want to sit and rot away on a couch.
Dude,
You know,
I don't
like
want to turn 30 and go,
Yeah,
You
I
know what
missed.
I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, and I'm not too far away, man. Like, I'm only 27. I'm gonna enjoy
I'm right
being a
there with you,
27-year-old
dude. Yeah,
dad. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But like, I just want to be like 30 and like have like a legit life. You know what I
yeah. Have
mean?
some accomplishments under your
Yeah.
belt, and yeah, I agree with you, and I'm kind of there with you too. And I have moments all the time where I'm like, have I done enough? Am I doing the right thing? Like this job I have pays good, but is it good enough? And it's just I'm almost 30, and yeah,
But I also feel like some of that comes like with happiness
bring that a
too,
little
right?
bit closer too, just like another like half a mic length. Yeah, a little bit more.
Right there.
Yeah, you're good
Okay.
right there. Yeah,
Uh, no, and I think a lot of it too can be, are you happy at work, right? Because happiness can be worth. I mean, that's priceless.
yeah.
You know. Um, yeah.
No, yeah, and so I had, and I love my job, but there was moments where you get frustrated with like stuff that's going on in your other life, or not other life, but your life that can affect you at your job, where you're
Right.
just like, oh fuck, like, do I want to do this or whatever, and then something happens, you're like, oh wait, no, it's great, like,
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
You're quickly reminded, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're reminded real quick when you see what other people have to do for work, like whether they're working like stuck at McDonald's, like not talking shit on that, but it's like when it's people our age that are still stuck in a place like McDonald's, I'm like, I feel bad for you, dude. Like
Yeah.
that shit sucks. And I know some people aren't as privileged as we are, but it's
Right. And
like,
that's what I mean by taking life for granted, man. It's like there's so many people that like you never know, right?
yeah.
Like they might not have the resources, and you do feel bad for them.
And that sucks, man. Like I think about, and this isn't the case for everyone I know, but like where I moved out of, in
Yeah.
upstate New York, there's not a ton of opportunity there. Like there is if you know where to look, but it's like I like to describe that place to people like that's a place you go to retire because there's nice houses and nice land and nice places to live, but like to go and try to survive there, try to do something
It's hard.
like it's hard because all the businesses that are there have existed for a while. They're like deep rooted into the community, and to do like something what you do, like start a new construction company like over there, like good fucking luck, man.
Yeah.
Like it might be a business there. I might not know what I'm talking about, but from what I seen, and even when I moved out of there, when I went there this a couple months or a month ago, just like God, man, it's a survival of the fittest out in that place versus like location, location, location. And it's
Yeah.
just like you, or not you, but just out here, there's opportunity. And it's not even just out here, but it's certain select areas you have that option to start. There's 1,000 landscaping companies
Right.
here. I have some friends that run one, and it's just like, there's always work for that. Roofing is huge out
Yep.
here, and it's just it is the companies are endless. They're popping up like weeds all over the place, and most of them are successful.
Yeah.
And so it's yeah, you gotta not take going back on what you said, taking like for granted. You gotta feel. What's my point with that? It's just like
Well, I feel blessed that I'm able to be a part of that.
yeah, okay,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like I feel grateful that I've done it for 3.5 years now on my own, and I'm part of that.
yeah,
Right? Like there are tons of businesses popping up left and right. General contractor, roofer, painter, cider,
yeah.
this, that. Um,
And not like
it,
I won't say they all make it, but a lot of them do, and it's but
there's
yours,
definitely a lot of potential for success out here.
yeah, and there's always like the there's always new
They're
apartment building
everywhere, dude.
everywhere
I'm
is
like worried.
popping
I'm
up.
worried we're gonna like fall into the black hole, dude.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
was driving around like further south here, and I was like, "Holy crap, dude!"
Its development
And
is like Philomath,
Philomath
man.
is
Like
just exploded, dude.
holy crap! Like you look just driving out, and they have all like that storage unit area, but then all those massive. I remember driving over that
It
hill.
was
You
just
could see everything. The hills
well, there was like a shitty old house and like a
and
fucking
like
broken
sand
down
pits.
yeah, and like
Yeah,
broken down RV cover thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
And now it's just gorgeous
tall apartment.
duplexes and
Yeah,
shit. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And it's happening here in Southtown across the street. These guys put these buildings up so fast. I've never seen anything like that. There's people already living in these places,
Mm-hmm.
and they started like I think a year ago, maybe two, like not long ago,
Yeah.
and it started. When I first started seeing it happen is when I lived on what street is that? It's basically right on campus there in town.
Monroe.
Not Monroe, but it's like when you're going out of Corvallis, like towards Philomath, there's like the OSU dairy farm.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the road off of that where it turns left and you have like a nuclear reactor there and all that. It's whatever the hell that street is. I think it's like 35th Street,
Hmm.
if I remember right. Anyway, we rented a house there. It's like a little tiny house like this, little packed. It hardly had a kitchen, this place, but we lived there for a bit, and we got not an eviction notice, but they're like, hey, we sold the house to the city. You guys got to move out because they're going to demolish it. And we're like, oh, okay. So we moved out, and then bam, they popped up apartment buildings right there. And I'm like, jeez, okay, that was quick. And then it was like other places around that area. It was just like apartment building, apartment building, apartment building, and then like the new dorms there by the liquor store off Washington
Yes.
Street. Just like those flew up so fast.
Yeah.
And so it's like my point is with that is just the construction industry out here has
Booming.
years and years of work under its belt for everyone. I feel
Mhm.
like you have like girding builders and GB or whatever the other one is
Yeah.
that like they do a lot of shit.
Well,
But
if I remember right, I think one's union and one's non-union carpentry.
yeah, I don't know.
So
Yeah, man, it's I think you chose a really good spot. Like it makes me think of like welding. Like as a welder, there's always gonna be work for it, but like with construction, there's always gonna be a business for it to like to be able to sprout that and go somewhere with it because like we just talked about with all that kind of you got to have people that can do tiling or flooring or
yeah, don't ask me to tile anything.
so okay, I guess go. What do you like to do? Like, what's your favorite thing to do for that?
I love flooring and I love siding. Like I don't know why I love siding so much. It's like people say it's easy, but it's like there's a lot of there's a lot of things to know about siding. As far as what vapor barriers to use, what kind of flashing to use, the trim to use. In the early 2000s, they used this trim called SPF, and it was supposed to be like the best in the world.
Yeah.
Dude, it was garbage. As soon as you sink a nail into it, it doesn't matter if you caulk it, it's going to absorb water.
I wonder if that's like the siding on this house too, because if you look on this back side where all the prevailing wind hits, it like you poke it and it feels like it wants to crumble apart.
Oh no, that's
like
rotted.
This house we moved in, it has a mold problem. I've had to like mitigate a lot of the mold, and it's always like on this side of the house because that's where the prevailing wind is. And
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that has anything to do with the siding, but it just if you go out there, it looks like there's mushrooms growing on the side of the house. It's fucking nuts, dude.
Have you let your landlord know?
Yeah, but in the clause,
awesome.
it's
in
the clause, they're like anything mold related is up to the tenant, which I'm like that tells me that they knew about the problem. You know what I mean? When they wrote a specific chapter in there in the contract. But like I've done what I can to mitigate it. You cut the sheetrock out, you replace it, all the pieces, and then you texture it.
Texture is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not bad. I like it because it's like if someone makes a mess on the wall,
it wipes
it's kind
off easy.
Wipes off easy, but also blends in. So you gotta get it really dirty.
Yeah, dude, this is so cool, man.
Yeah, no, This is man. I really feel like I feel confident in what this could be. Not going off topic there or whatever, but this is. I'm glad to do this because to be able to have a long form conversation, I never thought would be like. You almost kind of forget what it's like. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, because we're all stuck on our phones.
Yep.
And I talked about my first episode about how I first started I was not really into podcasts at all. And then I started listening to them slowly, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, I kind of like this, where people just, like, get to talk about whatever the hell.
Well, and it takes intention to sit here and talk, right?
Yeah, and it's like what you said before we got the show going. You're like, I thought of some things, but I'm going to have to roll with what you say. But then that's, like, where we are right now is just kind of rolling with it. And that's, like, where that's what good conversation is.
Yeah.
and it's that I like that. And me growing up, I was always like a people like talking to people.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a good way to like control that in a more managed setup and kind of break down
Man,
what
I
people's.
used to love people.
What made you
I
quit?
just No, I'm
That's
just kidding. I love people, man. It's just hard because there's so many people here, and I feel like everybody's inconsiderate, man.
Yeah, people are inconsiderate or they're in stuff for
Right.
themselves.
It's like it's all about like the now, man.
Yeah, or there's like a, what do you call it? Like a motivation or like some type of, what do you call it? Like when someone wants something, like a conspiracy or
Right.
whatever,
Like
someone want.
like right now, I could be at home, like smoking a J and watching TV or something. But I'm honored to be here, dude.
No,
Like I
yeah.
want to support your fucking podcast, and like I've already watched both episodes that you have out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
watched them the day they came out. Like,
Yeah,
I've been
no,
excited for this.
you
Man.
commented on them too, dude. Yeah,
It's
I
like-
really appreciate that, and like that kind of support. It's like, yeah, whether it's 10 people that watch it, 100 or whatever, it's like I just want to do this because I don't know what my voice is yet. I'm still figuring that out. I'm still figuring out what this is.
Yeah.
But I think like getting these going and figuring out is gonna make something really special.
Well, you have a vision,
for-
right,
for-
for
yeah.
what you want, and like that's why I'm excited about it, dude. You have a vision. You're going in balls deep, head first, and like
You got.
I don't know shit about computers or like you got like 10 monitors right here, dude. I don't know how they all work.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
the other day we were in here and you're like, "Oh, you can type, but you have a keyboard there." Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
I was so confused.
Yeah, and that's like kind of that was another thing is I just like love technology. I've grew up on computers and being able to know like, oh, I can like facilitate this thing I like to do, which is talking to people
Yeah.
and hearing stories or you know understand my curiosity about certain things, and I can blend that with my love of tech. And also, I like this podcast platform idea, and I
Yeah.
can like kind of push it all into one kind of thing and generate it. I'm like, I'm gonna. It was like this took way too long, like 4 years or whatever. It was like 2019. I really had the like the spark where I'm like, I want to do this, but it wasn't until this year, and I slowly started stacking equipment, and once I had the equipment 2 years ago, I had everything. I was like honestly really intimidated by like just because I had all this stuff right now, but I'm just like, okay, now that I have it, I'm like scared. I'm like scared to do it because I don't want to like put something out.
Well,
that,
dude,
like,
I always thought it was badass. We'd come over to hang out and you'd be like, "Let's go podcast." We'd just sit
Yeah.
here and bullshit. It's
yeah,
fun,
I
dude.
have dozens of videos of us,
I'm
but
sure.
I mean, they'll never make
Never
it
make the
but-
air.
because either we're too loud or
What you should do is like mute the audio and put it in the background for bloopers someday.
Well, I was actually talking to Gavin about this. I'm like, maybe every 10 or 20 episodes, I'll do like a special episode where I cut some good parts out of those and
Yeah.
blend them together. Like, you guys want to see the dumb shit we were doing before this was actually a thing, like where this room would be full of people and we're all just
20 of us
talking,
sitting here talking.
and
Yeah.
that was fun. Like
It is fun,
even
dude.
though it wasn't being posted anywhere, like just having these on and kind of understanding what the
But
whole
we were
setup.
we were helping you, man, like figure this out, and I love
Yeah,
that.
it was
Like-
good practice. It really was, and this is like now when that episode, the first one when I put up was after I got back from the New York trip,
Yeah.
and that was like what I was talking about earlier, like that new sense of motivation where I came back. It was like 3 days after. I'm like, I have to do this because if I don't do this now, it's not gonna happen. It's just in my head. I just sat here, turned on the camera, and I didn't even write a list. I didn't write a script or anything. I'm like, I'm just gonna start talking, and whatever comes out of my mouth,
Right.
like, is whatever. And I kind of was all over the place, but I think I got my point across. And then once I submitted it to YouTube and did all that, I'm like, shit. now I have to do this, and
It was kind of like your own way of like making yourself do
making
it.
myself do it. And
Yeah.
now that I did that, it's like, okay, I commit to every other week putting the episode out. I did the other one with Kelly, and then when I missed this last week's one, it really bothered me because I'm like, shit, like I don't want to start. I don't want it to slip yet, but it wasn't really my fault. It was slipping because of just a bad scheduling thing. But it's like, okay, now, and one of my friends gave me a good idea. Like, you need to start getting people in, start stacking episodes, so you have like a buffer to, so that doesn't happen again. And so
because you could be, once you've got this one posted, you can start working on the next episode.
Exactly, and like I'm working on the Gavin episode right now, and the Gavin one's gonna come out before this, but it'll be kind of funny when people like see or watch this or whatever.
for whoever's gonna watch.
Whoever's gonna watch, I posted these next 3 podcasts is gonna be in one weekend, and it's gonna be
we're all going at the same time.
We're going hard, but but then that right there, like that's like 2 months of episodes.
Right, exactly, because you did 3 interviews this week, so right.
Yeah, and so that's maybe not 3 months. It'll be like a month and a half or whatever. But even after the next guest, I won't say the next guest whatever is a surprise, even though people won't know who.
Special guest,
yeah. But even like having like repeat guests on too, like I definitely would have you on again. Kelly and I think one episode I want to get is Kelly and Gavin together on the same set, because those guys have been friends for a long time, but they're just hilarious. Like, just me knowing them as long as I have, they're a different type of, like, not different type, but they're just a different animal when they're together. And so I have like so many different ideas for it, and the list of people goes on. But yeah, man, it's
should get Gomer on one of these days.
if he ever makes it up
here.
Come on, Gomer, you gotta get up on this.
If you watch this, you better get on here, bro.
He did talk about coming on, but when he left, it wasn't ready.
Yeah,
I just wasn't ready.
Yeah, no.
And
that'll be his motivation.
Yeah, but he's watched it. He sent me a Snapchat the other day. Gomer's one of my best friends, by the way, for people that don't know.
And I don't think we've actually done an introduction as to who I am. For the people that watch this and don't know me.
Your name will be in the title and description. Perfect. But yeah, I mean, it's too late now.
No,
but
I know.
people, you guys will figure it out.
Cut that
my
out.
boy
You
Eli.
can just
No,
cut
you're
that
good.
out.
No, that's funny. But yeah, like Gomer would be. I don't even know where I'd start with him, dude. Like,
that's funny.
Fucking Gomer. I mean, he works heavy in the pest industry,
which is actually really cool.
Like, he's done work at like Oprah's house and shit.
Dude, that's
like
dope.
I always thought he was like kind of full of shit.
No, he was dead serious.
But he was actually doing like those high profile houses in California. I'm like, what the hell? It's like he saw some actor or something outside of their.
I don't even know if we're supposed to talk about this. It's classified.
No, fuck it. Who cares?
Fuck him, it's Gomer.
Phone blowing up.
We love you, Gomer.
Yeah, we love Gomer. Gomer's the shit. Always love Gomer. He how we first met is he stole something for me.
I love it, dude.
Yeah, a little fucking syringe, like a little plastic syringe from a bio class. I need it for my for my plants.
when he came over in his Red Ranger.
Oh my God.
He's like, did you see what I have on there? I was like, what? And I go out there, and of course, there's a pair of nuts strapped to it.
Oh my God. That kid. You want to talk about clapping out cars. I have seen that kid go through over a dozen cars, just Civics, Accords.
Mudding the Civic.
You just couldn't believe.
Putting a cherry bomb on his Civic.
Dude, I would get so pissed at him with the past 3 cars. He'd be like, yo, dude, I want you to straight pipe my car. And I'm like, okay, if you insist. And I'll straight pipe it. I'll keep it on for like a month or 2. Then he puts the original exhaust back on. He's like, oh, it was too annoying. I'm like, you didn't figure that out, your past 2 cars?
He's like, bro. He kept talking about the Ranger. He's like, should I straight pipe the Ranger? I'm like, no, don't straight pipe the Ranger, bro.
Keep it nice.
Keep it nice.
Yeah. Like, it's okay to keep your car nice. You don't have to clap it out, like, as soon as you get it.
Caleb.
It's like, yo, he's one that I think would be great to have on the show, man. Oh, my God.
You got to get Lub on here,
dude. I asked him earlier today. I'm like, when's the next time you're in town? He's just like, fuck, bud, I have no idea. I'm like, damn, they're working his ass off in Eastern Oregon.
Working him hard.
Yeah. and he's talking about how his boss is trying to get him to move over there because they've been working so much. I'm like, I swear to God, bro, if you leave me, I'm gonna be pissed.
I
We'll all be
I
pissed.
don't think he will.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, dude, it's a pretty tight knit group with all of us.
Yeah.
It's with Caleb, London, and Cody. It's interesting seeing how we've all adapted to like going back to like the job thing. It's like doing our like
we all have our own niche.
little niches,
Yeah.
you know. And Cody, London, they have the auto shop. Caleb's doing his quarrying or whatever the hell he does. You're doing construction. I'm doing whatever.
I think London's getting another car lot in Junction City too.
Really?
I think so.
I need to have him on. I think him and Cody, I'd have to do them together. But him and Cody, I think, would be interesting to have on a podcast, talk about how all that works.
I've been quiet in the group chat lately. I've just been busy, man, and you know.
Yeah.
But I love that group chat.
That group
I check
chat
on it sometimes. I'm like, yeah, I love my boys.
That group chat is
It's
hilarious.
wild.
I had to mute it, man, because my phone was
Just
just getting
goes off,
blown
yeah.
apart. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, sometimes I'll just hit like mute for the day, and then I'll go home and open stuff.
And I'll open it, like, if I'm at work, if I'm bored, I'll open it, and it's just like 1,000 Snapchats. I'm just like, just clicking on through them all.
The old vape died.
Uh-oh. There's a USB charger and that power supply there to your right. There should be a USB.
You're all hooked up over here. Sorry, guys.
Those vapes, dude. Did you see that one video where the guy had one of those vape pods, but it was like a phone?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you could like message people, but you could only call and text people that also had the same vape. Like he made it out like it was like a phone that you could use like any normal phone.
So it just goes off Wi-Fi or whatever.
Yeah. And I'm just like, that's disposable. Like you're gonna throw that away when it runs out of battery, because none of those things are reusable, are they? Like as far as I know.
I think certain types of people could refill them.
There's certain types of people. Yeah. Yeah. It's like the people I see that buy these disposable dab pens that are supposed to be one-time use. When they're out, but they refill them. I'm like, you guys are just smoking like lead and copper at that point.
Right,
just
right.
burnt coil. Like, it's so nasty.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's amazing how much shit we throw away.
Dude, the e-waste is this is
It's-
actually one thing I learned in like, the cannabis industry is like this, even from when it was just medical, it like you look at the cannabis industry, it's supposed to be like super green, you know, pro environment or whatever. But then you see the level of trash it generates. Anything from plastic bottles to chemical waste to light bulbs to the paper, the cardboard, and then like just the overall emissions of the energy. It's a very wasteful industry. And then you look at stuff like with the vape industry itself, it's all just metric tons of e-waste, man.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
so much e-waste. And people are just throwing it in, it's just going in landfills. Like as far as I understand, like Juuls and some of those ones, like there's like a procedure on how you properly recycle them. Like you have like an e-waste bin, but no one does that.
Nobody does
You
that.
know?
Nobody does
And
that.
it's just like so much, like I don't know, man. It's unbelievable seeing like we're already a wasteful existence as is, but then you add like these new industries such as that, or like electric cars to a certain extent, to a certain
Speaking of electric cars, my best friend's stepdad got a Tesla,
really.
and
Have you drove it yet?
I don't want to drive it, dude.
Dude.
This thing is wicked.
Yeah.
It's fast.
Yeah.
It's like he'll just like push the gas, and it's just
It's gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
And he took me out on a windy road, and there was like a 90-degree corner, and he like came up to it really fast, like slowed way down super fast, went sideways, and he's like, hold on, and he like hit a button or something. I'm not really sure what he did, but the whole car was sliding sideways through this corner, and then the car went whoop.
No shit. Like
It was-
traction control
Like
kind of.
I don't know what happened, dude.
Yeah.
It was
well, from what I
crazy.
understand, they have great handling because the battery is at such a low center of gravity.
Right,
It
they just stay on the
sucks
road
it to the
to
ground.
the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was intense though.
Yeah, those are unreal cars. My one homie came and visited earlier. Was it earlier this year or late last year? I can't remember, but he rented a Tesla Model S, the one with the whichever one has the gull wing doors.
Yeah.
I think is what it was. and I didn't get a chance to drive it, but I rode with him, and he was explaining to me that like when you drive it, it's like when you press the pedal, it'll like accelerate, but when you let off the pedal a certain amount, it like does auto braking
Yeah,
kind
they
of.
have auto braking.
Like you don't like they hardly have to use the brake pedal. Like if you
Right.
know how to use the gas pedal right, you can accelerate and stop without ever letting your foot off the accelerator. Like that's
crazy.
nuts. That kind of freaks me out too.
Yeah.
It's like and I think he
Well,
said there's a mode where you can turn that off where you can let it coast and use the brakes like normal.
Right.
But
It's something
yeah,
with like
yeah.
battery charging or something.
yeah, regenerative braking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's
and
pretty
you know, I'm
crazy.
not saying that EVs are the answer to the global pollution problem yet, but I will say they're cool. I think they have their place, but I think I'm not going to get all into that climate change shit because I don't know what I'm talking about. But
Me either.
like,
I like to say I don't know shit about fuck, and I don't know fuck about shit.
yeah, yeah. Cheers to that,
Cheers
dude.
to
No,
that, dude.
no, you almost grabbed the spray bottle. This shit. Yeah, this is like the stuff I use to the paneling, like just the.
Yeah, keep it fresh, baby.
Yeah, it absorbs all the smoke and vape and stuff, and you come in here to smell stale. I'm
So
like,
nice, though.
gotta spray all this stuff on here. It kind of helps at least. But yeah, dude, like I'm excited to see like what they're gonna do with these like hydrogen cars that like Hyundai's putting out. They're supposed to be
Hydrogen car.
yeah, it's like an internal combustion engine, but their fuel source is hydrogen, and they have been able to figure out a way where you can get this hydrogen fuel cell, and it's essentially, if I, don't quote me on this, but how I understand it is you put you put a distilled water maybe into this cell, and I'm sure there's more to it than that because that'd be too easy, but you put this water or this stuff in this tank. It uses electrolysis to generate hydrogen, which uses the hydrogen gas to fuel the engine.
Interesting.
It's something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but that's essentially what the process is. I'm excited to see what that's going to be about because hydrogen has much more energy per cubic inch or
Right.
whatever it is than gasoline or diesel. I'm pretty sure, if I read the article correctly, that's going to be cool to see.
But then we're gonna fight over water.
Yeah, that would be
This is
dumb
my water.
because water is
Everywhere,
It's
yeah.
ever existing. If we
Right.
start fighting over
I mean-
water,
I mean, I don't know if it's ever existing, but
well, it always it's it's always part of the water cycle. Evaporation, transpiration, or whatever. And so I feel like it would always be around. But then people are saying, or what's the argument that we're losing a lot of fresh water because it's all getting diluted into the salt water or some
Yeah.
shit. I don't know. There'll be an argument somewhere about it, I'm sure. But that would be kind of cool to see if it's really true about the power distribution and what that could produce. That would be a nasty car. There was one vehicle. Do you know that Facebook page Supercar Blondie? It's this girl that what do you call it? Not interviews, but God damn it, what's the word? Just she's presented a car. She talks about the car. It's always something like a Bugatti or whatever the hell. And it was this one vehicle. It wasn't from Hyundai. It's from someone else. It's like its own independent company. But she's investigating this car, showing all the features of it, and she was saying that its exhaust is just water vapor. It's just like that's all the byproduct is
Interesting.
like water vapor and then like something else, if I remember correctly. I'll have to find the video. And
well, that would solve the pollution.
like yeah,
some of it.
it's kind of like I don't know if it's comparable to that was a good crack. I heard that. Like I don't know if it's comparable to like how a rocket works, but like because rocket engines, a lot of people get this confused unless if it's like a solid rocket booster, which is using like a solid state fuel. Most of the time, like SpaceX rockets are using liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, and it's blended in a chemical reaction that ignites and propels the rocket up. And when you blend those two together, the byproduct is also water.
Interesting.
And so when you see one of those, if it's this liquid type rocket, when it's leaving this big cloud in its wake, a lot of people are like, bitching about the pollution of that, but they don't realize that that's just water vapor. And so it's kind of, I don't know if it's the same. Like they're not blending these things together. Maybe it's kind of similar. Like I said, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm just trying to think of a comparison here. That
I forgot what we're talking about.
hydrogen cars. But
Hydrogen cars.
we'll move on from there. But
That's
yeah,
funny.
no, it's good conversation. Yeah, it's cool like seeing, where tech is going, and
Dude, technology is amazing.
yeah, like
It's kind of a curse too.
yeah, like this whole AI thing. I always wonder like. I think the AI is cool. I have Chat GPT, and it's kind of nice when I need to like. I have been trying to generate images for like new images for my channel,
Yeah.
and like for thumbnails, like cover photos and stuff. But like it's not good enough yet, where it's not giving me the images I want, so I'm like not using them. But
I have a AI song generator.
really,
It'll write any kind of song you want, dude.
oh my god,
You
that's
get
so
200. You get 200 characters.
dude.
I've got some good songs.
Oh my god, yeah. Did you hear about that guy who? He was making music with AI, and he became his own record label and started promoting this AI music. It became like worth $10 million or something.
What?
And then they audited him or something. This is why we need Maddie here so she can fact check this shit. But yeah, it just happened a little while ago where he got in trouble for like I don't know if it was like monopolizing himself. But they're like, hey man, you're like scamming people out of a lot of money over this fake shit, and it's what like the argument was is like that it wasn't. I don't know, but that's how crazy it's getting. Is
Yeah.
people are like figuring that out. Let alone people are passing like nurse schools or what doctor schools with Chat GPT essays or whatever the
What?
fuck. Like, I mean, I don't know if that's actually happened, but it's in universities where people are getting caught with they're supposed to write an article like a type of essay or a peer reviewed thing or whatever the hell, and then they're getting caught using just Chat GPT to write it all. And then the professors are like looking at all these different essays and like, oh, these are like the same ones. You guys use Chat GPT. You know what I'm saying? That's happening in universities.
Wow.
A lawyer got busted for writing not a conviction, but like when they use like, oh, so versus so and so and whatever, this is why this person is innocent. He used Chat GPT to write these things out, and then they found out that Chat GPT was making up fake cases to like justify itself and to what the lawyer was wanting for his person he was representing, and so he lost his license or whatever because they're like, this is fake bullshit.
Yeah.
This is AI like paperwork. I don't know what exactly they call it, but yeah,
That's crazy.
it's crazy. It's crazy what's going on out there, dude. But I think what's crazier is it's gonna get better.
Yeah.
And so it's like at least as far as AI goes, and so we'll see. Like maybe those essays won't be like as easy to find or like find.
But think about how robotic and automatic that is.
Yeah, like minute or seconds. You're like, write me a 15-page peer-reviewed essay on black holes or some shit,
Right.
and then bam, right there you have something that's probably legit. There might be some filler in there that isn't real, but like that's like the problem with AI is like sometimes it'll just make shit up. For a lot of different things.
Yep.
At least as far as I understand. But like I said, I'm just some dude who's
I don't know
trying to
nothing,
make a podcast. I don't know
Right.
what I'm talking about. This is just stuff I read.
Right.
But
Well, I think it's important too to like. That's why you got to read more than one art. Like you can't just read. SpaceX rocket exploded.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
and then
you gotta check your facts and read more than one thing about it.
yeah, that was like a thing a little while ago where people were like, "Oh, SpaceX sucks. All these rockets are blowing up," and then Elon Musk had to come out and be like, "Well, that's just part of figuring out what works and what doesn't work. You gotta put out this thing. If it crashes, you gotta learn the whys."
Right, you gotta
the
figure
the
all that
whys, the hows, and what to do next, especially with something like rockets. And even in the computer world, they're still figuring that out with AI. These fruit flies, man, where the hell are these sons of bitches coming from? I'm grabbing like
I
Mr.
think
Miyagi
that
over here.
is it Pacific Cast or ATI or one of those that does casting and all
Yeah.
they work on
Yeah,
SpaceX stuff.
yeah. ATI does. Cellmet works on some components. I toured ATI, dude. Have you been in that place? Holy shit! When I was doing non-destructive testing in college, we were able to go tour that place, and they do a lot of different components. But we weren't able to go into the forge, but we can look in the bay door into it, and bro, like just the heat coming out of the bay was so damn hot. But you can see it; they're moving these massive pieces of like Inconel titanium billets that are just the size of houses into these lathes to machine them down to whatever they need. And then just looking at the X-ray booths, it's a amazing facility. You'll
Yeah.
get cancer by the time you're 45 if you work there at a young age, but I mean it's a cool place to work at, and they make a lot of like not nose cones, but I'm pretty sure they make like a lot of like just the titanium outer fairings or something for, and then Cellmet they make some components for SpaceX, but they also make a lot of fan frames and components for fighter jets and commercial airlines too. I have some pictures on my phone actually of an F-15 fan frame that was donated to our program because it had internal cracking into the fins of the fan frame, and so like our in school it was like a practice or like as a lesson where it's like okay you got to shoot X-ray into this part and find the defects.
Well, that's cool.
And it was pretty badass. And like this one part we were handling, this fan frame is like a $20,000 piece of titanium, and they just donated it to our program.
Wow,
It was pretty damn cool.
that's
man.
cool, dude.
Yeah, I liked that program, and yeah, I don't know. It sucked because like when I graduated school, it was 2020 when I graduated in COVID. Really, those companies weren't firing or hiring a lot of people, and so I just kind of stuck with what I'm doing now, and I'm still kind of stuck here, and I'm like, I think that's one thing I think about all the time, like at work, I'm like, fuck, like that would have been such a cool job, and I'm not doing that right now, and I don't know, that's like one of those things I'm trying to figure out if I should get back into because it was that cool, but yeah, not trying to trail off there, but they make some really cool shit. They do all sorts of stuff. But what's crazy about a company like that is if say you inspect this fan frame or a blade for a turbine and it breaks in flight and it explodes and takes the plane down.
Yeah.
When they investigate that crash,
Yep.
they got to go and they're going to look down the line to the very thing that broke. And if it came down to that company, like say Summit or ATI, they're going to be like, okay, well, who passed this part and what department? Like, where did it come from? And they'll narrow it down just because of the lawsuit and the paperwork. They're going to narrow it down to the guy that sat there with the microscope or in the UV inspection booth and figure out, like, the brass tacks, like, who to blame for everyone that died on this plane. That's a scary reality, and for a company like that, it's like that's nuts. Like that's a lot of responsibility to put on a company, let alone a single person.
Well, it's like the pipeline explosion. The oil company was found at fault, but nobody got in trouble.
Yeah.
Or I mean, they did, but not really.
Yeah, but they got so much money. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
just throw $1 billion at it,
Yeah.
and but these companies with FAA is a little bit different.
Oh yeah, way different.
But yeah, that could apply. Like if you're.
Did you watch that movie?
Which one?
Oh, I can't remember.
Oh, was that Deepwater Horizon?
Yes, Deepwater Horizon
dude.
was a good
oh
movie,
my
dude.
god, dude, that is a great movie. That is a really good one. Yeah, that's some scary shit, man.
Dude, when he pushed that girl off the deck, I was like, whoa.
Man, this not really related to that incident, but I was reading this story the other day about an oil rig accident, and they have these underwater pipe welders that are below 1,000 feet, and so they had to store these guys in a pressure vessel essentially for a certain amount of months because they need so much work under the rig. And so basically to let their body stay accustomed to that pressure that deep underwater, they put him in this chamber, and then they slowly pressurize it so it slowly squeezes your body and equalizes you to, so that way when you're down there and they drop you beneath water and you get out in your suit to do the welding, your body's equal or used to that pressure, so you don't get crushed or whatever. And
Wow.
so it's pretty wild. It's scary. It takes a lot of years off your life. Like a lot of those guys, like they get pressurized for up to 4 to 6 months out of the year. It's very damaging on your body.
Yeah.
But this incident I was reading on an oil rig was these guys were in one of these pressure vessels, and they went down. They did the welding, got back in the vessel, and got brought back up to the surface. And when they're at the surface, they still keep them at pressure. They just
Right.
want them up because it's safer rather than 1,000 feet under fucking water.
Right.
And this story goes that some guy on the outside accidentally opened a valve or something. And so it went from 9 atmospheres of pressure to 1 atmosphere, which is insane in a matter of like less than a second.
Yeah.
And
Did they
it
explode?
it, it sucked one guy through a 60 centimeter hole and just disemboweled and just expelled him through this hole, just blended him to pieces outside this valve. And then the guys that were in the vessel that didn't make it through the hole boiled alive from their own blood. The nitrogen in their blood expanded, and it literally caused them to boil in their own bodies in this accident. It's pretty graphic shit, man.
Dude, that's
And
crazy.
like that happened a few times. It was this one particular case was in Norway, and they were describing this guy like 60 centimeters. Like how big is that? Like how many centimeters is in a foot? Like it's not that big. It's like like this maybe, and like maybe I don't know. If, like I'll look it up really quick, but it's not that big. And so this guy got shoved through. Oh no, that's the wrong app. See, this is where we need Maddie. This orifice that just they said it broke him down and just suit, body, flesh, and all just sucked him through this damn hole.
That's
And
crazy.
it's like this most horrific way to die, man.
That's
Just
that's
absolutely
terrible.
horrible. Mute this.
So a 2 foot hole basically.
23 inches. Okay, that is much bigger. Still, like 2 foot. That's like this big.
It's probably like that big around.
Huh. That is a lot bigger than I thought. What the fuck is this? I don't want to watch that. God. But still, like imagine
Dude,
just
that's
being
terrible.
forced through that hole, man. It's just like I wonder if I can like look at this like Norway. I for dolphin, that's what it's called. I knew yeah, so multiple issues. Yeah, step as a drilling rig. Here's the incident. So while drilling, they're in a diving chamber system on the rig's deck that was connected by a trunk to a diving bell. The divers were blah blah blah. At the time of the incident, decompression chambers 1 and 2 were connected via a trunk to a diving bell. The connection made by the trunk was kept sealed by a clamp operated by Crammon and Saunders, some dudes outside the vessel. Yeah, let's see. They were resting in chamber 2 at a pressure of 9 atmospheres. The diving bell with Bergeson and Hellevick had just been winched up after a dive. There's 5 steps to how the normal procedure would have gone to decompress the vessel they were in. So the process goes: you close the bell door, which would have been open to the trunk. You slightly increase the pressure in the bell to seal the door tightly. Close chamber 1 door, which is open to the trunk. Slowly depressurize the trunk until it reached a pressure of 1 atmosphere. Open the clamp to separate the diving bell from the chamber system. So what happened was the first 2 steps had been completed when Crammon mistakenly opened the clamp that was keeping the trunk sealed before Hellevick Diver 4 had closed the door to the chamber. So he just didn't wait for him to close the door. This resulted in both chambers being instantly decompressed from 9 atmospheres to the ambient external pressure of 1 atmosphere. Air rushed out of the chamber system with tremendous force, jamming the interior trunk door, crushing the bell away, striking the 2 tenders. All 4 divers were killed. One of the tenders, Crammon, was killed, while Saunders was severely... Yeah, one guy did survive. I guess it doesn't say.
That's crazy.
But okay, right here. This is so the most notable findings was the presence of large amount of fat. Oh, this is when they
Arteries
boiled.
and veins.
Yeah, where's the one thing about? Oh yeah, the fourth diver died instantly from gross dismemberment when the blast forced his body out through the partially blocked doorway. So it just it vacuumed him through this door and just pulverized him.
That's
But
crazy.
why the fuck we talking about this shit? But yeah,
Tangent.
Yeah, tangent. But
that's crazy.
Yeah,
bro.
that was just a horrible way to die.
That'd be terrible. It'd be instant though.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think you'd feel it.
No, but those guys that boiled alive in their
imagine the dude that survived, man.
Oh my gosh, yeah, horrible way to go. Horrible way to go. we went down a really dark path there.
Yeah, we did.
Shit. Yeah.
Well, this was cool, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
here.
no, I appreciate you coming on.
I was gonna say this earlier, but there's nothing makes my dick harder than helping out my friends. So cheers.
Well, same here.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers, dude. Thank you so much. We're at an hour strong.
You gotta call me Dragon.
Yeah, I look forward to having you on again, man. I think this is a good podcast, just on a whim, and I think you did good. And I didn't really write much notes for this. I just kind of had some ideas, and yeah, this turned out good. We went from talking about what you do for businesses to people to getting
dismembered forcefully. It was great.
Shit. Well, thank you very much, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. And thank you guys for listening.
Yep,
this is that episode, that Hella Dank podcast. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Cheers.